We have another tutorial, and this one is going to be covering our Evergreen Region Offer and Acceptance Agreement process, and that is for the juniors accepting written offers to play on a club team for the season. So we're going to kind of go through that process and some tips on how to help you out and how to pick a club for the season. So the first thing we kind of would like to cover with everybody is it's important for you guys as families and players to understand that each club runs as an independent business under the Evergreen Region and USA Volleyball as their governing bodies. So we establish rules and policies that they need to follow to be eligible clubs, but they ultimately decide whether or not they're going to be a for-profit, nonprofit, how they'd like to conduct tryouts, practices, what their tournament schedule is, what their cost for their club is going to be, how they determine playing time, what coaches to hire, and all those sorts of things. So those are areas that us as a region do not dictate down to the clubs. They make their own type of business. And so when you're going through the tryout process and, considering a club to play for the season and what the best fit for your child is going to be, we, kind of like to provide some information on that and, some analogies to kind of help you guys understand what the best process is for that. So when you're deciding to commit to a club for this whole season, make sure that you're comfortable with the business practices of that club. Some of those areas would be, how well they communicate with you through the tryout process or prior. If you contact them with some questions, do they get back to you quickly? Do they provide you enough information? Are they helpful? Some of the other areas is, what is their commitment process after they provide you a written offer, after you try out for them? Are they understanding? Do they continue to answer questions, or, are they kind of, pressuring you a little bit to, hurry up and get back to them? Or do they kind of allow you to go to other tryouts and accommodate you if there's a conflict in tryout times? Are they accommodating, or is it, you have to come to our time? And either of those practices are okay, any of them, but it's what you feel comfortable with as a family. And make sure you're comfortable with, the environment maybe at tryouts, what their financial contract entails, so that, again, you're comfortable with it through the entire season, because you're kind of going probably through April or May, or potentially even June or July if you're going to go to nationals. So the analogy that we kind of like to use is, again, as the clubs establish themselves as their own business, it wouldn't be any different than, you guys going to a grocery store or, kind of like a general store like Walmart or Target. You decide what businesses to shop at based on, some of the information and some of the atmosphere that business creates. So, you kind of look at, do they have a good return policy? Or, are they pretty stingy on their returns? Do they offer an organized, comfortable environment when you shop? Are things easy to find? Or is it a little haphazard and, disorganized, and, the inventory is kind of laying all over the place? If you do need to contact an employee, are they helpful and they're able to kind of provide you the information that you're looking for? Are they kind of rude and standoffish and, they're not really willing to help you? The likelihood of you going back to a business where you have a poor experience is pretty low. So as you're going through the tryout process and deciding what club to play for, again, take those things into account. Are you having a positive, encouraging experience during that time, and that's something that you'd like your child to be a part of? Or are there some times where you're, potentially frustrated or feel like you're not getting what you need out of the club? And again, either one's okay. Different fits for different people. So just make sure that you're going with a business or a club that you're comfortable with and you kind of aligns with what your family and your child is looking for. So now we're going to kind of move into the actual offer and acceptance agreement. So you can find that here under our juniors page, and you're going to go to junior girls and tryout information. And so on this page, you'll also find the club tryout times, which we kind of covered in the previous tutorial. But if you click on that, you're going to get a list of all the tryout times that were given to us by the clubs. And so this is the actual offer and acceptance agreement. And so if you go ahead and click on that, you can actually view what exactly the clubs will be giving you when they're offering your child a spot to play on their team. So we're going to kind of cover that and just some tips again that go along with accepting an offer. So this is what it's going to look like. If your child is presented one of these filled out by a club, they're officially giving you a written offer to participate for their club for the season. Verbal offers are not valid. So if a club says, oh, we'd like to offer you a spot, that's great, but you're going to need this piece of paper filled out and written, and that's the actual official offer. So the first eligible date that players are allowed to be presented this written offer by a club, whether you're returning to that specific club or you're new to that club for this season, for the U12 and U14 age group, November 4th is the official first day that clubs can provide an offer. You may not get an offer on the 4th. It might be a couple days after that. It might be that evening, but that's the first date that the clubs are actually eligible to provide you one. For the older age group, for the 15s through 18s, it's going to be November 12th. And so once you get this written offer, this will all be filled out, obviously. The really important part is this date and time of the offer. So they're going to want to make sure they fill that out. And then once you get that, it's really important for you guys to understand right here that the offer is valid for 72 hours from this date and time. And the clubs cannot rescind or take the offer back from you as a family or a player. They have to honor this contract until that 72 hours. Now you as a family can decide, we're ready to go before the 72 hours we want to accept with this club. You can accept an offer prior to the 72 hours. It just gives you an opportunity for 72 hours to attend other tryouts if you wish to do so, and the clubs cannot take the offer back from you. So you're able to kind of do that, and that's your right as a family and as a player to be able to go to other tryouts without a fear of losing an offer from a club. Now, if you are receiving, some pressure saying, hey, we need an answer before you leave the gym, that's not okay. That's against, the region policy. So please let us know so that we're just able to clarify with the club that, they do need to be giving you 72 hours at least to make a decision. Now, once that 72 hours expires, if you haven't provided the club a decision, that offer does expire and they're able to move on to other players. So you're going to want to make sure that you communicate with them on what your decision is and where you are. If that 72 hours expires and they decide to still extend that offer to you, they can do so. That's definitely up to the clubs. And so now we're going to kind of talk about once you've decided to actually play for a club and you get one of these written offers and you're ready to go and execute the contract. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the second page, and down here you're just going to sign. So the athlete, parent, guardian, and the club director are all going to sign that. And once that's signed, you are officially a part of that club for the season. Once you do that, we do ask that if you have multiple offers, that you contact the other clubs that you're not going to be accepting an offer from and let them know that you made a decision to play with another club for the season. This just allows the clubs to move on to their other alternate players so that they're able to fill their teams as well. So, if you don't let them know when you let your offer expire after 72 hours, some of those players could have already accepted other offers. So to give kind of everybody the level playing field, we do ask that you just communicate with those other clubs and let them know you've decided to go with a different club, which is totally fine. We do also ask that once you execute this contract, that you don't attend any other tryouts. Again, that just potentially is taking positions away from other players that are still actively looking for a team to play on. Once you execute this, the club may provide you their own contract. And again, just so that you understand, the club contracts are not administered nor the responsibility of the Evergreen region. These are specifically an agreement between you and the club. So you're going to want to make sure that you understand all those commitments and information that they're providing you, whether it be financial, playing time, how to go through grievance procedures with the club. So make sure you understand that. And if you have any questions on that contract for the club specifically, make sure that you talk to the club before you sign that so that everybody's kind of on the same page. Now, one thing that we kind of want to cover is what's the contact rules during the offer and the tryout period. So the clubs will provide you, this written contract if they're interested in having you be on their club, and they can initiate contact with you or your child twice during that period. So they try out, they have 2 contacts to be able to reach out to you. You guys as families and players, you can contact the coaches and the clubs as many times as you want during that period to ask questions, and we encourage you to do that. Don't hesitate to inquire, if you're an alternate, where you're at, who else is on the team. If you haven't heard from the club, call them and say, hey, I'm really interested in playing with you. Am I, an alternate? Am I being considered? Ask them how many other players on the team have the same position as you, and that might sway, what way you decide to go. So definitely reach out to them as many times as you'd like. The clubs really want you guys to ask questions and kind of to stay in contact with them, since they do have the two contact restriction. So don't hesitate to contact them. Other than that, once you kind of decide to play, the only other thing that you will need to do for the upcoming season is, if you did a tryout membership, you'll need to go back over to the Evergreen Region website, and you would upgrade your membership to that $55 membership. So again, you'd already have a current membership, so you go ahead and log into your account, and you would upgrade your membership. If you have a $60 membership, then you're good to go for the season. You would just need to log back in and select your club. If you decide to upgrade, you make sure that you select the club that you've committed to for the season. And then finally, what you would do is, and the clubs will arrange this with you and they'll communicate to you about it, but the juniors, all of them by February 1st, will need to be have a current certification for referee and scorekeeping, so that they're able to do that at tournaments. And so the clubs will either host one themselves, or if they're a smaller club, then we'll have region hosted ones that they're able to attend. So just know that that's going to be another requirement for each player. And again, they'll have until February 1st to complete that. So if you have some vacations planned during the holidays, you're able to kind of go on those and still have some time once you get back and everybody's back in school to get those taken care of. If you have any questions about the process for the offer and acceptance or anything else, please contact the region office. Our number is 509-290-5552 or office@evergreenregion.org.